Howdy y'all, name's Clover. About a year ago in August 2024, I picked up Live2D for the first time. I want to learn how to animate and create my own VTuber models in the program, starting off with simple shapes and cartoon critter style rigs just to learn the ropes. I quickly fell in love with the program and the creative freedom it brings me. And then around the end of March, I got a silly idea. See, I had this plushie in my VTuber persona, and it got me thinking, what if I rigged up photos of this plushie as like a April Fool's kind of joke? I honestly thought it would be totally cursed and super scuffed, making it the perfect goofy joke to show on stream. But as I began rigging the photo, I quickly realized that animated photo manipulation in Live2D was actually much more viable than I had originally imagined. And after I shared the results on social media, I was pleasantly surprised to find that the VTubing community agreed. That was the moment I realized Live2D has so much more to offer than just animating traditional cartoon and anime style rigs. My first attempt actually worked better than I expected. I was thinking the textures would fight me, but it ended up turning into something that really looked more alive than I ever thought it would. For a project that ended up as a joke, it held up surprisingly well, and the more that I looked at it, the more I realized it could go even further. I began seeing room for improvement and cooking up ideas to give it more depth and motion. That gap between what I had made and what I knew it could be drove me to experiment even deeper down the Live2D rabbit hole. Over the next few months, I started figuring out how to make photos behave in Live2D. I began extended textures so that they'd clip to shapes with the intent to give them more room to unfold, bend, and move. I started painting shadow and light layers to give it more depth, and I even began developing custom brush tools so that I could fill in missing details and create additional expressions and toggles. Piece by piece, the rig stopped feeling like cutouts and started feeling more like real-life plushies. And the more I continue experimenting, the more new ways I find to unlock Live2D's potential. Now, about 5 months since I started this plushie journey, I've decided to come back to update the original cow plushie with the new techniques that I've learned. I didn't change much of the motion itself, but rather focused on adding more layers, extending textures, and refining edges to the motion it already had. That way I could demonstrate the difference that new layers make in breathing life into this style of rig. And honestly, I found that the updates to my method have given the plushie the depth that it was missing, giving it the extra push it needed to look more like a real-life object in motion. As it stands, plushies have been my training ground. The detailed textures have to move just right or the immersion starts to break. It's forced me to slow down and be more deliberate in how I move the layers. What started out as a joke turned into my way of exploring just how far I could stretch Live2D past the typical types of rigs that we usually see in the VTubing sphere. I'll always have a soft spot for plushies, but I don't want to stop here. I want to try other materials like feathers and metals or even water or fire. To me, Live2D is a tool that can go just as far as your imagination's willing to take it, and this cow got quite the overactive imagination.